from the 7th of the 2nd month of 1444, the game of tarot spread. 8. Strength enthusiastically puts on a show with seen and unseen power. 19. The sun is happy with the honor, but there is a dignity hinted at in that hour. 17. The star reverse rests in what hasn't changed, but still gets sour. 10. Wheel of Fortune incorporated the traits of the unexpected. 7. The Chariot reversed doesn't realize what is actually the common plight and gains in inabilities. 5. The Hierophant knows the increasing and the problems of mere ritualism. King of Flamingos reversed just likes to orchestrate his dominion. 2 of Hats reversed has some relationship issues around understanding. In the pursuit of being satiated, the 3 of Hats reversed finds that ability no longer sound. 4 of Hats could look past wants and work on perfection. 5 of Hats is enchained by the shallow conditions. 6 of Hats commemorates the former without awareness of partitions. Queen of Oysters reversed puts on a false front of fortune and use that to build suspicion. Knight of Flamingos reversed doesn't realize that its animal nature is a weapon against itself. Page of Flamingos holds dear the thoughts connected to revelation and inspiration. 10 of Cups reversed tries to rest, but finds pests at home. 10 of Peppermills has too much of a burden to comfortably roam. 9 of Peppermills reversed divides the work, but finds prevention. 8 of Hats reversed performs a stunt that hastens the plan. 8 of Oysters has to be blunt about prudence. 6 of Oysters reversed lets it be known that they are benevolent. 6 of Flamingos is the prioritized journey for devotion. 5 of Flamingos reversed has ostracized itself from worldly surety for the sake of liberation. 5 of Peppermills has ignorantly fell into a mimicry of competition. Ace of Flamingos has a safety of thinking, which can be used to hold to the victory of its emotions. What are your initial thoughts on the cards and poem, sir?
Well, one main thing that just jumped out at me, you know, and this was more towards the middle to the end of you showing the cards. The world is in such shape. It's in such a state. First of all, I've said there's no way. I mean, for me personally, I could ever feel happiness knowing what unmentionable things that are going on right now. There's no way for me to feel true happiness. No way. The world, it's a facade. Things are reversed, as in brainwashing. If you
Well,
want
remember
to
that.
brain,
Did you ever see that God Who Wasn't There movie?
I don't think I did.
Well, this guy and the God Who Wasn't There was like, look at all these happy Christians. I want to be happy like that. But
Mhm.
first he goes, and then there are other Christians, and talks about people killing their kids for Jesus and stuff like that. But basically he goes on to say, it's like, well, I'd rather not be happy and like, know some of the truth behind this.
Yeah,
Um,
because the truth is not
the
pretty.
truth will set
Truth,
you free, but there's a cost
right?
to it.
It's very, yeah. There is a cost.
And so,
It's like the world is I mean,
okay, the
cruel. When I
five,
say cruel, that don't even the word
the
cruel don't
five,
even.
what is this one? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just, the five of Peppermills has ignorantly fell into mimicry of competition. So all this, and we can definitely think of an individual and all this stuff. All this talk, all this talk, it's like all this people, instead of being a good writer and being authentic or being a good artist and or authentic or being a good mystic it's their path. They're trying to, some people, they fish around and see, okay, people are talking about voodoo or people are talking about this, and oh, I have to change my identity because this is popular right now. And it's like a lot of that just keeps people from being as popular, and their popularity isn't as strong because it's more numbers than actual, oh, this person's actually influencing me. It's like, no, this person's saying stuff that everybody else is saying, and it's like, where's the distinction? Because that card, everybody has their stick and they're hitting each other, and
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
so that's that card.
It turns out to be fake, like that.
Okay.
And it's like, why can't they just let people live and let live? That I don't see it possible in this world to live and let
Knight
live.
Knight of Flamingos reversed doesn't realize that its animal nature is a weapon against itself. I mean, yeah, these bodies, the mind, and all that, it doesn't have to be a weapon, but people like,
Yeah, yeah.
when you let when people like, it's one thing. It depends on what flow you're going with. If you just let whoever is influencing you, just it's like that queen that Queens of the Stone Age band. That's why he's miserable. He doesn't go with his own flow. He doesn't go with the flow of nature. He's going with the flow of, oh, I just got caught up in the party scene and
Yeah.
relationships and drugs and whatever, and
Crowd can easily carry somebody away if they let it. And I picked out seek, people, they seek freedom and peace. Do they even know what that means? Like being, I actually read somewhere recently that, a person was saying, oh, we need to be ruled, basically. First of all, if people would act right, we wouldn't need to be ruled.
well, that's
But
that, and that's somebody was telling. I had a neighbor once that was like, Islam is basically anarchy because it doesn't afford. It's like, yeah, the idea that fine, if there's something collective they need to do as a society to build a road or building or whatnot, they'll try to gather together to get the funds and stuff to do it. But as a rule, most of the rules for life are not something the government ever enforces, and it's like, but yeah, that's what works. We don't need in this country, one of the things we live in is that there's so many laws. Everybody's breaking the law. So you really don't want you really don't want police to go visit or something like that, because they might find it's like, but I'm out here and I found some law being broken. Not what I was called out here for, but there's some law here broken. I can tell.
Yeah, we'll get somebody took in. It's like we pay to be protected and served, but no.
I mean, some areas you can be arrested because they figured out it's like, well, if the dog has actually stayed on its property, it stayed on the property, so whatever. But you know what I mean. Some areas you can have the fence, you don't have a fence to keep in this dog, and I see it off. It's like, well, it's running around the yard,
Yeah. And some
So
laws
what was it?
100 years ago have been took
Two
off
of
of it.
hats reversed has some relationship issues around understanding. Now, it does help to understand people, I would say, but
Yeah.
but it almost looks like she's like, I have enough, but I see you still have some, so I want some of your, I want some more of what you have. Like the age-old saying, it's not wrong for a wife to steal from a husband if her needs are unfulfilled, but if it's just something she wants, or something the kid wants, then it's wrong. So
Right.
I needed that commemorative plate off the television.
I needed that $200 hairstyler. What is a need? A need is not wasteful.
10 of Cups reversed, tries to rest, but finds pests at home. So the 9 of Cups is you're happy and all that stuff, and the 10 is you're beyond beyond being satisfied. But reverse, something stands in the way. So pest, huh?
What exactly is prosperity?
Well, if there was mice or bugs or something around there, because that's the prosperity, and she's like, oh yeah, I can more than rest here. I have extra for some time. And but of course it's important not to it's like, whether it's one's own failings or just, there's something you want in life, and people are like, especially during these past few years, people have been taking it out on family, stuff that they've wanted that they haven't been able to take part in. It's like it's somehow their fault. Or honestly, if they're sometimes it's, oh, if I didn't have family, then I'd be out partying with my friends or whatever. And it's like, well,
definitely a stressful time.
but yeah. Well, they did it on purpose, and they didn't. It wasn't necessary, but we can't go into that now, can we? The 10 of Peppermills has too much of a burden to comfortably roam. So the flamingos were stepping on the guy. This guy is a standard, but it's a lizard.
He's carrying a heavy load.
A lizard carrying too much at once. And that's a stereotypical guy thing, is that make 2 trips, or make 3 trips instead of 2 trips. And people end up with hernias or hurt otherwise and all this stuff, and our things break because I don't want to take 2 trips.
Lighten the load, right? Lighten the load a little bit.
Well, it's different when you have to walk 2 miles home from the grocery store. But one of the things that happens is, like, sometimes you don't have a bag. It's like, oh, the bags will hold. No, and the bags don't hold. And then you're like with your shirt all weird, and it's like, well, the Hierophant. What did I say about the Hierophant? 5. The Hierophant knows the increasing and the problem of mere ritualism. I mean, the first step is you're going through things, right? You're trying to keep to the rules and all that sort of stuff, but that's not quite the purpose. And one of the things that you get into it, once you get past the part, it's like, oh, I have to do prayers, or I have to get up and do a meditation at this time or whatever, or when this time comes along, I got to stop it. Well, what happens is you get into it though over time. And then those principles kind of make your way outside of life. But what's the thing? Well, unlike the other thing, this is Hookah dude on his own, I guess. The Jar Jar Binks. Maybe that's where the whole Jar Jar Binks thing. Is it Jar Jar Binks the obese guy, or who's the obese guy in Star Trek or Star Wars?
Can't even think of names.
I'm talking about the big old blob sort of creature that he meets on that place where the space people go hang out in between their the stuff they're getting done.
Whole sections.
But yeah, it's like words of power. Do you worship the entity? I mean, does one worship the darkness or the light or whatever, and or the thing beyond, or a causal beyond that or whatever, or does one worship the words or the ritual? Is that the thing? And one of the things you find also, if you look into it, a lot of these things where you got these specific forms and stuff. If you mess up in the middle of the verse or whatever, you say that verse over again. You don't have to redo the whole ritual. But some groups, I think they lost their power. When they lost their power, they stopped because they tried to do stuff like that. They tried to say like, oh, no, you got to repeat the whole ritual over and all that stuff. And it's like,
oh no. Wow.
And sometimes these be long things. So you
days.
The chariot, okay, 7, the chariot reversed, doesn't realize what is actually the common plight and gains in inability. So empathy definitely has to be a thing, because you're beyond these modes that you're in, but others are in different conditions of the body and stuff. There's different material and psychological culture, and if you're not sensitive, if you're not aware of how your path is impacting other people, or that they can't live your path in the way that you can live it, you might not be able to.
Well said. Yeah, well said.
And what happens here? It's like, okay, I think they're on a train. They're on a train, but it's like some guy's like, what's this girl traveling all alone? It's not safe for a girl to travel all alone. And it's like that's really making her feel safe, right?
Right.
Some guy
reminds me of old 1950s movie I recently saw. Newspaper headlines: girl traveler missing, or girl motorist missing.
Oh, and that's one of the things that that we're distracting about. 64, I saw this thing, there was maybe an exact number, 64,000 missing Black women and kids. But that's not what the focus is on. The focus is on 5 people a year, and those police officers would have been arrested anyways, or maybe even quicker if it wasn't for, 10 Wheel of Fortune Incorporated. The traits of the unexpected. It's every card's like the other cards, right? If you think about it hard enough. So the chariot, oh, you got the modes. Okay, so the dodo's extinct. You got the rat, the owl. Is that a hawk? There's a gopher. I would pick different things as the modes, perhaps, but I guess dig under, go through. I don't remember what the dodo is supposed to do, and obviously the dodos didn't go around with a cane.
Right.
But the people that play movies and stuff like this is something that they put those characters in.
Yeah, it's an odd combination of
Because
little
one
critters.
of the things, the Wheel of Fortune is about being equiposed. So you're being steadfast in the principles, but whatever the actions that you're capable of doing at the time, it's like you can say, well, like in Arabic, there's this word sabr, And somber is like patiency, it's consistency, stuff like this. And it's not just, oh, people abuse you. No, that's not the thing. That people yell at you and everything else. Oh, you're so have patience, man. Have patience. It's like, no. The thing is that you're consistent in your principles, and those principles would include saying, hey, you need to knock it off. This is harmful. You know, if it hurts others, who cares what you right? That's what I say. It's like, it's insensitive to say who cares what you want if it hurts others. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to stop.
Right. And
And I have this meme, and I've shown this meme, and in this meme I have the star card, because I got sent a star card from a deck, and as part of a membership packet, and that's one of the things. So the star, I just thought I'd bring that up there. The star reversed rests in what hasn't changed, but still gets sour. But I do think maybe that was chosen for a reason, like, because I've heard that other people were had a particular card from that deck chosen to give to them as part of their, oh, welcome to the group.
Yeah.
So the Pleiades isn't 7 stars. I've seen it as 12, like in Eastern Oregon, I think it was, where I saw you could see the dark before all these super bright lights, the LEDs and all that stuff. You could see the dark side of the moon in between the towns and stuff like this. Now there is no dark side of the moon because the light rotates upon it. And over the centuries, actually, I think it kind of shifts a little bit closer to Earth. So this idea, but this idea, there's the moon base would have to be the super hot and the super cold. So this idea that there's just this, there is no dark side of the moon. That's a silly thing they came up with.
Yeah. Wasn't that a song or something?
Yeah, it's a phrase. There is a side that's currently dark, but it's not like there's a side that stays dark. And so you go over there and there's some Nazi base or something like this from like some of the stuff that happens on movies, right?
Right.
So the Pleiade, it's like a lot of these identities that people have are psychological, and the people get to have the full realization, like, oh, the Pleiadians and stuff like this. It's not really they're from Pleiades and stuff like this. But the entities are kind of like, you know, because you have this 7 sister myths, but the 7 sisters, like some of them, it's like groups of demons. You know, a lot of these myths tend to, I'm not sure what came first or second or whatever, but some of this stuff gets kind of dark. That doesn't mean it's not cool.
Right.
So the fact it's a dragon, but I if I recall, one of Muhammad's sayings was something along the lines of eyesight being checked by the Pleiades. You can check a person's eyesight by how many Pleiades they've seen, and I've seen it as 11 a couple times, so that was whatever. But then again, I do think there's a spiritual sight where you can see things physically more than others, because I don't remember how many stars are actually in the Pleiades, whether it's like 100 or whatever. But one of the things you see once you get past the seeing 7 stars is like there's this glumping of like towards 11 or something. And
yeah, that spiritual sight is pretty wild. Well,
just like that graphic I showed you of those sigils. You got 21 paths in between the 7 spheres, you could say. But that could actually refer to sort of a spiritual gateway. So if you work the astronomy in that way, that's I think a secret of that. But I'll maybe get into that a little bit more somewhere else later or something. So the sun is happy with honor, but there is a dignity hinted at in that hour. Now, so Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
Yeah. And you know, when you drop an egg, it's kind of messy. You know, the sun card, to me, it's always been dark, you know.
Well, you got a kid leaving. You got this wealth, but there has to be maturity. So there's something, but there's something there for you, and it's in Thelema, it's the liberation through joy card.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, as long as he doesn't fall and get cracked open, I'm sure he's happy. 8, strength, enthusiastically puts on a show with seen and unseen power. I mean, we definitely live in a seen world.
Yeah.
The unseen, okay, the seen, so the seen is the lions and the unicorn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Remember in the Bible, there's a verse, something to the effect of, "Thank you, God, for saving me from the lions and the unicorns." And I'm like, "It's cute horse things," but really, actually, no. It's a type of spirit. In the Goetia, you see number 40, and is it 62 or 67, or which ones is Amdusius? You remember?
No, I was going to ask, is that the verse in the Bible? Would that be in Daniel? Because I
It's one of
remember.
the Psalms. It's one of the Psalms. I've moved for towards my spring equinox. I've moved my set of bilingual scriptures out there towards the reflection, so I don't have that with me here. But I've talked about them in like the Goetia, those programs. So, but yeah, the lions and the unicorns. So the physical and the spiritual beasts, you could say.
Yeah. It's like we can be looking at something and it not really be real. You know what I mean? It's like, just because your eyes see something pretty doesn't mean it is pretty. If your
Night.
eyes something different, it's definitely not what it appears.
Knight of Flamingos reversed doesn't realize that its animal nature is a weapon against itself.
A lot of
I guess they're all called C's. So the Cavalier is the Cavalier, what the C is for.
mm-hmm.
So instead of a big old sword, and that's a horrible way to ride a horse, just your sword drawn, and
Oh yeah, kind of dangerous.
but the
A little bit
well,
dangerous.
the flamingo's proud in his role. I am a tool. And the Queen of Oysters, reversed, puts on a false front of fortune and use that to build suspicion. Well, we've seen something similar, right? Putting forward this idea of oh, look at what I've done in order to build all your guys' wealth, and to teach you and to show you what can be done with this abundance of these tens of thousands of dollars that I have spent on this vehicle and this trip and that trip.
I see no honor in greed. Just don't see it.
And
And
breaking down, crying over,
being so
and
false.
see,
I mean,
the sign is on her nose. The sign is on her nose.
it's so easy to see.
The ace. What ace is this?
Yeah, shit.
The ace of flamingos has a safety of thinking, which can be used to hold to the victory of its emotions. And each thing is they kind of blend into each other. The different suits do. So you're dealing with your thoughts, and then you can deal with your emotions. So you got your feelings, and then your thoughts, and then your emotions, and each one helps the others. Like I say with this whole path working thing, right? As I say, you can't. I mean, you can. You definitely start. It's like, okay, well, we'll talk about this one, but is this the 5 of hats, right? If you do the work you're supposed to do here, maybe it's easier if you do some other cards first, not just the ones in the sequence, but someone off to the thing.
Right.
And it's definitely not something like spirituality is not some like Pokemon collect it all thing. I don't think we're going to doubly go over each of these, but let's go. We got the 5 of hats is enchained by shallow conditions. So it's a worry. He's worrying. Oh, he's got chains. I have all this emotional stuff I have to deal with, and I'm like, it's like, well, deal with it as you can.
Right.
It's just like people look at this big old pile. Like if you look at your life, all the good or all the whatever you want to call it that you're supposed to do, it's like a mountain, but you pick up pieces and pieces and pieces. You learn a little bit each day. You do a little bit each day. You try to transmute your feelings so you don't you don't kill your neighbors or whatever the deal is.
There's not enough hours in the day, you know, to do.
I'm not not contemplating that. I'm just throwing that one out there. The page of flamingos holds dear the thoughts connected to revelation and inspiration. So, the princess, like in the Crowley deck, you got the woman and the altar, and the sword going up. But you got to take in, there's this spiritual system that you're supposed to think about, and then you but I guess you hold it dear. See, you have the emotional connection, and then you go out with it out into the sky. I'm not sure the flamingo likes being held, but they have that angry sort of eye thing going on, I think.
Angry eyes.
And so we don't have time to go over too many, so let me know if there which card that oh well, I might as well say it. We have the 6 of cups. We have the 3 of cups. Well, I mean hats. The 6 of swords.
Oh, I saw an escape.
4 okay, the 6 of swords. Oh well, the 6 of flamingos. It's the prioritized journey for devotion. It's the boat. Sometimes you have like a sword. So the sword that's sticking in, I'm sure, is one of these flamingos that's faced off. This one flamingo that's faced the different direction from the others.
Yeah, and the killers is that color of the water there. It's just interesting.
Well, it's pale. You do kind of wonder if it's if everything's all bright blue or something. It's like, what did they spill in this one?
Yeah. And sometimes when we see into, like an astral type vision, it's kind of barren. It's not so colorful. It's not so decorated.
8 of oysters. That's the prudence card. 8 of oysters has to be blunt about prudence. And well, he's got a bucket, or it almost looks like he's wondering, okay, I gathered dinner for a few days or something, but it's escaped and it's gone into formation.